Welcome to the Left Behind Game Club. This week we play Luigi's Mansion. Our next edition is going to be covering Spec Ops: The Line, so if you're interested in that one's launching in 2 weeks today. For Luigi's Mansion, we talked about the game, sure, but things got a little contentious when we talked about which Mario brother is superior.
So he's a good Nintendo character.
Yeah, he's great.
Luigi's better. Here's why. So you just look at it from a real person. If you're walking into a haunted house, you're not really worried about ghosts. You're worried about anything. Anything could be in there. It could be murderers. Could be anything.
I'm into this. Okay.
Homeboy, Professor Egad, gives you a vacuum cleaner.
Okay.
And you go full-on rogue. That's all I need, cuz.
You're listening to the Left Behind Game Club.
Welcome to the Left Behind Game Club, our never-ending attempt to make sure that no game is left behind. I'm your host, Jacob McCourt, and today I have three friends to talk about great video games. The first is Mike Ruffolo.
It's a great video game because it has the superior Mario brother in it.
Are we going to do this now?
Always.
I haven't even introduced anybody else, and you're already, throwing me under the bus.
I think we should see where the other people fall.
Great. Murtadi, which Mario brother is the superior Mario brother?
Let me think about Luigi.
Okay, your opinion doesn't matter. And our guest today, on for the first time, Travis Colenutt. What do you think about Luigi?
It's a lot of pressure to put under someone who's new here.
It definitely is. Just answer the question.
Luigi.
Oh,
so is it 3 against 1? Is this how we're going to start this?
It's, you can join the right side.
Jacob, as with any point of view, I have my opinion right now.
Okay.
The ball is in your court to convince me otherwise, or else I'm going to stay here.
Okay. The ball's in my McCourt, right?
Correct. I like how you did that.
Mario is the superior Mario brother.
The play on the last name. Good job.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Today we're here to talk about Luigi's Mansion. It's a GameCube game that came out in 2001. Mike Ruffolo, why don't you just tell the things about that game?
So some things about that game. It was a launch title for the GameCube when it came out, and it is the first and almost only game to feature the superior Mario brother, Luigi, as the main character. The premise is that Luigi and Mario win a mansion, and when they go to claim their prize, the weakest brother, Mario, gets captured by some ghosts in the house, and Luigi, the superior, better brother, has to go and save him from the disaster that is this haunted mansion. And so Luigi meets a Professor Egad, who gives him a vacuum cleaner to wear on his back, and Luigi goes brave as the soul that he is, into this haunted mansion with a flashlight and a vacuum cleaner, and fights his way up until he saves his brother, the weakling Mario.
Mm-hmm. And not just any vacuum cleaner. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the Poltergeist 3000.
The Poltergeist 3000!
Exactly. And to give you guys a little bit of an explanation.
$400, Bob?
Oh, 401.
Yeah, to explain exactly how you're playing this game, you get the Poltergeist 3000, and you walk around this mansion similar to the mansion in Gone Home, but this one actually has things in it that attack you.
Wow.
You really have to stop at this point.
It's a point I have to hammer home. Gone Home was a great game. Pause. No, so anyways, you get the Poltergeist 3000 and you have the flashlight, as Mike was saying. Premise is you walk around finding ghosts, you flash them with the flashlight, essentially. It exposes their heart, and when you see their heart, that gives you the cue to, hey, throw out your Poltergeist 3000 and suck them in, and a health meter will drop down depending on how long it takes to suck them in. Usually it's about 100 hearts. It takes about 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and you have a fresh ghost in your Poltergeist 3000 that you take to Egad.
And there's essentially 3 classes of ghosts throughout the game. There's the little mice or bat ghosts that fly around that they just spawn, you suck them up. If you get hit by them, you lose some coins, some health. Then there's the middle tier, which is what I would say is either the booze or the colorful little ghosts, where you have to flash them with the flashlight. Sometimes they run up behind you, grab you from behind, and hurt you.
Progresses in difficulty too.
Sometimes they drop down from the ceiling and throw a bomb. Sometimes they throw banana peels at you.
Oh, those guys are jerks.
Those are the worst. I hated those.
Which ones, the banana peels?
The banana peels.
I have my ones I hated were the guys that dropped down. So I found a workaround.
Easy.
I found a natural well, it's not that they were hard to suck in. These guys took about a second. As soon as you flash them, They go. So first of all, when you're walking down the hallways, they always spawn and they drop down and it stuns you for a second, and you're like, oh, there's a ghost, and you have to turn around, flash it with the flashlight, and you suck them in instantly. My thing with that though is every time you're walking, it delays you that extra second, and you're like, I don't want to stop. Like, So the workaround, I don't know if you guys did it, but I eventually figured it out, is you just walk backwards in the hallways, and they don't spawn. Yeah, I naturally just like, let me see this. Sure enough, when I walk backwards down the hallway, the guys that drop down in the spots that you figure out that they come from, they will not show up.
Pro tips.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's called.
There was a tooltip about that, wasn't there?
What's
like
a tooltip?
didn't EGAD say like if you walk backwards, maybe you'll have a better time?
Did he?
Maybe I
It's not
should've read
exactly
it.
like that, but I think he said something along those lines.
This was me kind of just like after getting like spooked, I guess, or stunned by these ghosts every single time you walk down the hallways you use. I kind of just like, let me just see if this works, and then sure enough, I want to say I had maybe like an 80% success rate, because I feel like maybe 1 or 2 times I either didn't walk backwards correctly, or maybe I just not paying attention. But yeah, majority of the time they did not come down. The ones that came down.
So that's like the second tier, the middle tier, and then the hardest ones to get are these sort of 20 or 30 little boss-ish, mini-boss / boss ghosts that you have to, in most cases, figure out their one little thing to trigger their boss battle, and then again, flash them with the flashlight, suck them up into the Poltergeist 3000, and then plug them into the machine to turn them into portraits.
And there's a trick to it too. Like, you can't just like flash them with the light and like have the infinite time to suck them in. You have that split second. As soon as you flash them, they get spooked. You got to take out that vacuum, or else they disappear and they run away, and you have to try it again. So you get like you get a hang of it, I guess. Like, I'm gonna say first hour, you kind of work the kinks out, but
Eventually.
yeah.
I actually didn't learn the best trick, which was actually like getting close. You can turn your flashlight off with the A button.
I started
You didn't know you could turn your flashlight off?
Not until like the last hour. Where I realized it,
Why
but
are you
it
playing
didn't.
this on hard mode?
It did. I just hate myself.
We need
That's
to get
why.
like a button to cue that like comment. Why are you playing this on hard? Why are you playing this on hard?
Just please get a button on Twitch, because I was streaming this game on Twitch at jacobstreams.com. Plug. And I really wish it had a button that'd be like, Jacob, you're doing it wrong. Jacob, you're doing it wrong. Jacob, you're doing it wrong.
Why are you playing on hard?
We'd
Why are you
break
playing
that
on hard?
button. We'd hit it too much.
But like the strategy is like hold your flashlight off until you get right close, and then flash them, and then their heart
Feels
shows
right
up instantly.
close, bud. Let's go for a rip.
Let's go for a let's
go for a rip, bud.
let's go throw some donuts in the parking
A
lot.
dart and some Timmies.
You know it.
Oh yeah.
So I hated the drop down ghosts. Anyone else have ones that
I did not like the drop down ones. Well, like the thing is, bear in mind, I'm not really good with spooky games in the first place.
Yeah.
Same.
Oh, so like the
Same.
thing is like I'm terrified of like playing a Resident Evil or something like that, right?
Those are bad.
Yeah, no, I know, but they're like horrifying to me,
Yeah.
right? So like the thing is, when I started this, I like literally like the first room, once you get the vacuum and everything, you go in, and the first one's popped up and then it stunned Luigi. I literally like jumped out of my seat. Like I had that like moment of like, holy crap, I didn't realize like this was happening, right? And then eventually it just got annoying. But I mean it just, oh my God, that first one like hit me and I didn't expect it.
And
So-
Luigi's jumps make you jump, because with the fact that he's scared, you kind of become him, and you're like, oh
yeah.
I should be scared too.
I know, and I was really trying to like get into it, and I was playing in the dark, and I was like, I'm gonna like go full into this, and I like jumped right out of my skin.
You know what my favorite part is? When Luigi calls for the superior Mario brother. Mario!
Okay.
No, see, here's the thing. He's looking for his weak little brother.
Okay.
He's looking for his weak little brother.
That's one of the most boss moves he's ever done. He walks into the creepy house filled with
And he starts
ghosts,
screaming.
and screaming. He's like, "Yo, come out! Yo, if anyone here, check me. Let's go, Mario." That's his way of saying that exact thing.
You know who? Yeah.
I'm not going to win a single time this
You're not.
podcast,
No,
am I?
you're really
so
not.
should I just
'Cause
stop
here's
now?
The thing. Mario is unafraid to go into this haunted mansion. That's a sign that he probably doesn't understand the threat, mostly because he gets trapped behind a portrait. Okay? He didn't understand the threat. He got checked. He got taken out. But his brother, who's more intelligent, who understands the threat, who can jump higher, who can run faster, who can do things that
I guess this is
the
a
weakest brother can't. He understands that it's very difficult, that there's a lot of challenges that lie ahead, and he still goes through with it. He still goes to save his weakest brother. Mo, you're in.
All right, so you know,
Bouncing off the
first of all,
ropes.
so he's a good Nintendo character.
Yeah, he's great.
Luigi's better. Here's why. So you just look at it from a real person. If you're walking into a haunted house, You're not really worried about ghosts. You're worried about anything. Anything could be in there. It could be murderers. Could be
Okay.
anything.
I'm into this. Okay.
Homeboy, Professor Egad, gives you a vacuum cleaner,
Okay.
and you go full on rogue. This is all I need, cuz I don't need
He's like,
anything
Here's
else.
the Poltergeist 3000.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? This is a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, he's like,
Yo, this is a Dyson.
yo, this
It's
guy.
not even. It's a dirt devil. It's a dirt
Literally a dirt devil.
Yeah. So you get the vacuum cleaner and you stomp around saying, "That's it." Anything pops out. I get Freddy Krueger jumping out.
Boom,
he's getting
boom.
sucked in. Jason Voorhees, he's getting sucked in. That's just all I need.
Too.
That's
The
a boss
flashlight
move
vacuum
too.
cleaner.
So shout out to Luigi, just ice cold veins.
Okay, if you guys want the cowardly brother who's maybe a little bit more
Not
intelligent,
cowardly.
it's a
No,
philosophical
no,
difference.
No, I need to stop you there.
Oh, okay.
I think I've outlined this before. Cowardly is running away from danger and not going to do the thing that's right. But Luigi is afraid. He's not a coward. He is afraid of it, and yet he faces these challenges head on.
He's afraid, but
He-
still brave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He knows that there's actual danger. Mario here
brave
is
afraid.
not
Brave afraid.
not courageous. He just walks dumbfoundedly right into a trap because that's the type of character that Mario is.
Dumb.
And it's because of Deus Ex Machina and the design of these stories of the Mario games that he ends up making it through, saving the princess. It's like, of course.
So,
of
as a
course.
final point, because if we talk about Mario versus Luigi anymore, we're actually not going to talk about this game.
True.
I'm going to say it's philosophical differences between the two of us.
Fair.
Is that I'm down with bravery, you guys are down with intelligence, and that's cool.
It's fine to be wrong, Jacob.
And
It's
red
okay.
is also a better color than green. Let's just leave it at that.
Not even.
Did you wear your green shirts today just because?
Oh, how am I?
Both
wearing
Mo-
red?
You know, it was a happy coincidence because green is a better color.
What am I doing? I'm in the wrong
So-
color.
Back to Luigi's
Mansion is
Okay.
a video game.
So when the game starts, you go into the mansion. Professor Egad's looking out from the distance, saying, "Like, look at that dummy go to die in this haunted mansion. I gave him a vacuum cleaner, and he thinks that's going to save him." And Luigi makes it work. And you get in, and then you finally gain control. And there's a little toad there who's, I don't know if you guys noticed that these toads were useless throughout the game.
Saving.
They're there for saving, but
They
like
seem big.
they do seem big.
Yeah.
But you never need to save.
Oh, really?
Anytime you do something that requires saving, or
It saves.
yeah, it saves. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you got a ghost. Here's a save point. You got a key. Here's a save point. I don't think I went longer than 20 minutes without saving.
Okay, I used the saves to reset my whenever. Like for example, if I died somewhere because I walked into like a boss battle that was kind of trickier than most or whatever, and I walked in with like 30 health out of your max of 100. I was like, okay, well, I died. I'm gonna go find max health, save, then go to the boss again.
Yeah, I did
that
that
way
a
I can
lot.
have full health just in case I come back and redo this boss again. That was my tactic for it, and I usually did it. Did you guys use the? I don't know if it was explained because I suck at sometimes reading things in the game, like when it's text.
You suck at it, as in like you just hit A as fast as you can.
Correct.
to go through it.
Yeah, a lot of that. I try to pay attention. Like this game, I read a little bit of like the story as it was going, but most of the time I like click too fast. When you take a photo of a mirror, you go back to the center.
Yeah,
No.
no. That drove me nuts because
It
I
drove me
got
nuts at
trapped
first.
in that one room. At like
Which one?
The
one
sealed
later
room?
on, the sealed room
Yeah.
later on, and I literally spent like a half an hour in this room. Like, I'm not going to look this up online. I'm not going to look this up. And
What sealed room?
Which
one?
the one if you
You
go
jump
up
through
through
the
the
chimney.
chimney and then you get locked inside the room and it's got tons of money.
You know when you're walking through the hallway and you see the one door with two 2x4s.
Yeah, it's like
across it?
a blocked
Oh,
off.
I
can't get
didn't
in.
go in there.
Oh,
Yeah, you got to go through
See,
the chimney in the top.
yeah. So like I was stuck in that room and like so you pull off like you vacuum off the like carpet that's over the mirror and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, the last time I had to use a mirror there was a button on the other side of the wall, so I'm looking around like trying to press a button or something, but there was nothing there. So I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So I had to look it up online and I'm like, where was that explained that I had to look like
so you didn't do it at all until
No.
then. That was later
that
probably.
was so late in the game. So then I was like, I have no idea. Like, where was this explained? I
Okay.
have no idea.
Just to-
so
I
that
feel
was
like
the only time I used it.
I don't know if we've explained it yet, but and the game has a mechanic where whenever you see a mirror anywhere in the game, if you take a photo with like
Your Game Boy Horror.
Game Boy Horror.
which is
Was that not the best?
like I think
on.
this is what happened. Steve Jobs
Pretty good.
played Luigi's Mansion. He's like, we need to make a smartphone that has great camera,
There's all
touch
these
screen,
features.
all this stuff.
An inadequate map system.
Yo, Luigi invented the iPhone.
Superior Mario Brothers.
I'm just kidding. Anyways, yeah. So
I didn't know that, by the way, that there was like a menu that you could look at all your items when you hit the Z button.
I did, but I
Yeah.
never
Oh
used
yeah,
it.
I did that.
I
but
used
I never
it-
used
Do you
it.
guys not test out all the buttons before, like, as soon as you jump into a game?
I think I tested it out in the cold open where I had
Yeah.
nothing. So like, I was like, what does all this do?
I
And
didn't
do
use it
anything
because
with
I didn't like. I don't think it even mattered. The only time I used that the Game Boy Horror was to look at the maps to see what was unlocked. Because
Yeah.
sometimes I click too fast and I don't see the
Sometimes
key.
you click too fast.
A lot of times.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, to go back to that little premise, you take a photo of any mirror in the house and you go back to the beginning location of the game, which is
game.
essentially the center point of the entire map. So it's not as bad as it seems. Like you're going to the beginning.
It's so helpful.
Yeah, you're going to the center of the
Yeah.
map, essentially, and that kind of like helps you out to escape things sometimes.
That was the second thing I did after I sucked off the draping around the mirror in the lobby there.
Is you looked at it through your Game
I
Boy Horror?
looked at it through the Game Boy
Really?
Horror. I took a photo and I was like, "Whoa! I found a secret. I found this little secret." And I was transported right back at the beginning. So let me see if this works at different mirrors and you go to different places, like a fast travel system, like a wormhole type thing.
Nope.
Yeah.
And I tried it, and I always kept going back to the
Okay.
beginning. I was like, "This is a waste. This sucks." And then as you go through the game, it becomes so helpful.
This is probably why it took me forever to beat the game because I
that's
did
gotta
not know
be
about
it.
this.
Okay, so did you guys? So I know Roof, you used it, but Jake, did it tell you anywhere to use this?
I don't
feature?
think it did. I don't think at a single point they're like, hey, if you look at a mirror with your Game Boy
Never.
Horror, guess what? You're going to go back to the beginning. And that would have been super helpful.
Yeah.
Because in this game, I feel like they added. So I'm gonna throw my first complaint out because I feel like it's time.
Yeah.
I feel as though this was a 3 or 4 hour game that they just added rooms or added length to, padding it out to make it a little bit longer.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
No.
I guess
No?
what would be, instead of saying what would be the padding, what were the ghosts that you kind of like, or should we start off with some of the first ones that kind of like introduce some things? One I want to talk about, and the reason why I'm even bringing up this topic is the baby.
Oh my god.
Was that creepy baby or
Don't
what?
get me started on the baby.
Was it hard?
Literally, like, okay, like the first thing, I wrote a page of notes out while I was playing.
Okay.
The first thing I wrote was, I hate this baby. This baby needs to die.
Okay,
When I
that's-
found out the baby's name was Chauncey, I'm like, this is the stupidest name for the stupidest baby.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done. Like,
Okay.
I struggled with that boss battle for like half an hour.
Okay.
Like, I just got trapped in this game over and over
Yeah,
and over
let's
again.
explain, I guess, what
This
the
is
baby
a horror
is.
game on multiple levels for you.
Yes. Oh my god.
Yeah, so the baby essentially, like every single boss ghost that you get to has some kind of like quirk or mechanic or something.
Little
You
gimmick.
you have to kind of figure out, I guess, the gimmick. Yeah. So you go into this one little baby room, and
The nursery.
Yeah, the nursery, I guess. And there's a little crate. And that's another thing. When you go into the room,
Crib.
yeah, when you go into any room with a potential boss, I guess, there's always a way to look at them or find them. So you take out your Pokemon Horror or your Game Boy Horror.
You keep wanting to say Pokemon Horror.
Yeah, so your Game Boy Horror.
We
and
know that the only thing Mo played on his Game Boy was Pokemon.
that's not incorrect. So, yeah. Yeah, so anyways, so you take a photo, and that's a big thing. You always take out the camera to see the person. If you take a photo of their heart, because this Game Boy Horror can see every ghost, you take a photo of them, and it sometimes gives you a clue, or it just says gibberish. I found that didn't explain anything how to kill the guy.
In most cases, it gave me a good idea.
A lot of
how to-
times it
I
just
don't
how to
think
beat
I
them.
used it.
Yeah. So if you take a photo of their heart, it kind of says something, and it may have to do with how to activate them or make them show their heart so you can start sucking them in. I don't remember what we had to do to get the baby activated, but he went
had
into
to
like a super boss mode.
Shoot the ball into the crib. I'm
No,
pretty sure.
so actually, the only reason I remember this is because I was just watching him when he was streaming,
Oh, okay.
and you have to vacuum the rocking horse, and it makes the rocking horse go, which then triggers the baby crying.
Yeah. And then this baby becomes huge, and you like transport into, I think it's the roof,
Yep.
but like the background and the scenery around the
I like
house.
that boss battle.
Yeah, it was like a super like kind of weird. The background looks all spacey and kind of crazy,
trippy.
and the baby's gigantic, staring at you, screaming, and he bounces and bounces and kind of comes at you.
Shoots
Yeah.
rocking horses at
Yeah, he shoots horses the horses are sliding down and they come shooting at you, and it's a little trickier. And it's the first like mega boss, I guess, because it's the first one where it leaves the actual room that you're in. You leave the mansion and you enter this like battle arena to fight the boss. That was the one that scared me when I first played the game way back when on the actual GameCube, and I think I just got past it and got to another boss, but that's the one I first remember. It's like, wow, this is a creepy little game for a Nintendo title.
So, Travis, you said you don't like horror games.
I'm not a fan. Not
Okay.
usually. No. Like no, I'm not a fan.
I'm sure people are listening to this saying like Luigi's Mansion is not a horror game.
It is.
It's such a toy, like playful kids game, and why are you guys scared of it? But it's creepy.
Yeah, it's creepy.
For an 11-year-old, so I got this
Oh,
game
yeah.
Christmas 2001. Opened up my GameCube, got my Super Smash Brothers, got my Luigi's Mansion. I remember the thing that scared the crap out of me was Bowser, the final boss battle. Spoilers.
Big spoiler.
Oh, no.
Bowser in the last boss battle.
King Boo eventually becomes Bowser.
Exactly, but his head spins backwards.
Yeah.
And so at one point, Bowser's eyes are looking up, and it's in the exact reverse direction, like when you watch horror movies, and they're like, "Nyah!" and their heads spin. And that's, as an 11-year-old, I was super scared.
I'm creeped out by the whole like the doors locked like cinematic. Like they're
really wanted to talk
you
about
know,
that.
like it's creepy.
Is that
Yeah,
not an
so-
amazing shot though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like right on the glove, and you can see the like hesitance
Yeah.
in Luigi trying to like, I know I have to go through it, but I don't want to, but I'm so courageous that I'm going to. And then he turns the doorknob, and then it's like, okay, and now I'm into the
That's
next
I think that's one of the things that they did well was the atmosphere was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, even when the doors were locked, like that same cinematic comes in and goes, and
Yeah.
you slowly try to open it, and it cuts into
that
his hand.
cutscene looks 4 times better than all the other graphics in this game.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
it's
it's
rendered really well.
Yeah.
Also, could you not have imagined that hand being Mickey Mouse's hand? Yeah. Because at some point I was like, that glove just looked just like Mickey Mouse's hand, and it's like Nintendo is making a Disney horror game.
When Disney buys Nintendo, they'll sell white gloves for
gonna
all these
happen.
characters.
gonna
That way they
happen.
save money on cost, right? You don't have to get
gonna
2 different
happen.
sets of gloves.
It's 3 white gloves. One's
Their
Luigi,
costume
one's
department
Mario.
is
and
going to
one's
save
Mickey.
loads. That's a reason enough to vertically integrate.
Chauncey, get the costume boy over here. We have a revelation.
But yeah, I don't like horror movies. I don't like horror games. I find horror games really tough to get through because you're just that much more invested in the character and the perspective, and everything is more visceral. But when I watch horror movies, I can usually deal with it. I don't like to. This game, it had the right mix of like, you know stuff's going to be coming at you, and you don't want it to come at you. But you also have that sense of like, I can probably handle anything that comes at me.
Yeah.
Did you guys die?
Yeah, I wanted
How
to bring that
often?
up. I think so. I'm just like, I know, Michael, we talked about this earlier. Like, you have little cousins that, like, if they get into a hard section of the game, they turn off the game, go to the next game. I'm an adult version of that kind of mentality when it comes to video games. But with this one, I felt like it had a good difficulty where, like, I eventually died a couple times just because I recklessly didn't care about collecting hearts. And if I saw one pop out when I was sucking randomly and a heart pop up, I'd kind of just walk by and not worrying about it. But then once you get to like a more difficult boss, if you're walking in with like 20 out of your 100 hearts, if you get hit a couple times, you're dead. And that happened to me a couple times. And then I started becoming more responsible with like keeping my health up continuously. That way, in case I came up against anything, I was able to do it. But yeah, I thought difficulty was okay. It was.
Travis?
I feel like I was having a hard, like, because I was having such a hard time with it, I think I was very, very cautious. So I only really died on the final boss battle.
Wow.
I survived because I think I just did tons of dodging, like until I figured out what I needed to do.
Gotcha.
So like in the other boss battles, I would just like, it took me one shot, but like I just dodged forever until I could finally understand, oh, I have to suck this ball up. And then my aim is terrible. So like I'm
Yeah.
shooting it off into the distance constantly. Right.
Right.
So like it took me forever but I never actually like died other than the very, very end of the
I
game.
died a couple times.
Yeah, I think like you, I died a bunch at the end. That Bowser
Yeah.
boss battle I find was like way harder than everything else. Obviously, your final boss battle should be difficult, but I found like the difficulty gap was wide, and I think I might have died once at the baby, but apart from that, like surprisingly, you can go check. I don't think I died much.
Yeah.
I died 5 times in the whole game. 4 times in the first 20 minutes when I was
Figuring it
learning how to control the game because some monster designed it
Yeah.
with inverted controls. And then once I figured out how to do the controls, I only died once in the Bowser battle at the very end.
Wow.
Okay.
I thought throughout it was generally pretty easy to play.
Yeah.
Like in the actual battles, the mechanics of it, once you got accustomed to the nonsense controls that were inverted. But when, yeah. I thought it was generally pretty easy to fight, but solving some of those puzzles, like figuring out how to start some of these boss battles, was just brutal.
I know which one you're talking about.
There's so many.
It's the twin babies where you spin the
Yes.
plane in the top of their.
I could
No,
not
I
get
got
that
that
one.
one.
Oh, that one I couldn't.
I couldn't get that one.
I had to
It took
search
me
that
for a
one.
while.
That was one of the very few that I
Yeah.
didn't look up.
So this one. You're in like another kid's room. I guess the kids are the most difficult to fight. I guess, and they have one of those like baby sleep things where it knocks you out.
Mobiles?
Mobiles. Yeah.
Mobiles?
Yeah, so it's on the ceiling and it spins around, and you realize, hey, your vacuum affects it, so you just got to get it to spin, I think once or twice, and then the kids appear and you get to play with them.
What was your favorite puzzle out of those?
Give me a second to think about it, because I feel like I had a couple.
Okay, my favorite was the one in the musical room.
Oh,
with
yeah.
Melody. Who's
Oh, yeah,
playing
that was
the
fun.
piano.
Is it because you played the song?
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause you hit all of the different instruments, and then they collectively play like the Mario theme song.
Yeah, and it's a giant musical room with a bunch of different instruments.
Can I
Pretty
challenge you on the definition of puzzle? I don't think there were many puzzles in this game. I almost think that there were just like
tactics to attack
yeah
or to activate the boss.
yeah they were just like it's
Yeah,
almost
but-
like a hitting the button like
Yeah, but
some
like,
of them were.
a lot of the times you didn't know what the button was.
Yeah, I think
Like,
that was
it
some of the
wasn't
fun.
Clear. It wasn't clear. There was nothing that pops up and says like interact with this.
Unless
It-
you use that Game Boy Horror to
It-
look it up, which I didn't do.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, but even with the Game Boy Horror, like in the musical room, you're not going to know that you
No.
need to go up to all the different instruments, and you're not going to know that you have to go to all the different clocks in the clock room.
Yeah.
did you
Yeah.
because I did that by default.
See,
I'm just like
I
I
didn't.
touched all the
clicked.
things. I
But
clicked
that was later in
everything.
the game, so you developed. Hey, I should click things, because like you're talking
Right.
about the clocks at the very end with the toy
Yep.
soldiers.
Yes.
Yeah, that one because it was one of the last ones. You're like, hey, the music room, you click things. So now it's like, oh, let's just click. So it kind of progressed you and gave you similar puzzles later on, I guess.
I never tapped A. I was always in rooms vacuuming nonstop.
Oh, really? I knocked.
Oh really? I knocked
knocked a
every
lot.
time.
Like, so interaction, when you press the A button, you interact with things, and most of the time he knocks on the things, or Luigi knocks on it.
And when he doesn't knock on something, he says, Mario, weak brother, where are you?
Mario.
I'm done. I'm not gonna touch that anymore.
Yeah, no, I knocked a lot of the times. Puzzles that I liked. Well, one that I like, I wanted to bring up that I liked. So the painter guy, there's a
Yeah.
there's a painter boss, and he's near the
It's
end.
a serious boss.
Yeah, it's kind of a bigger-ish boss, but I found it was easy because of this. So you're in a painting room, and there's a bunch of like, canvases,
Canvases
and
with
each
different
canvas has every different type of like middle ghost that you'd fight, and every time you defeat one, the next group of ghosts, and it's always 3 ghosts that pop up of each different type at a time, and it starts off with the weakest and goes to the strongest, fattest ones, I guess. The thing I liked about that one is if you timed it right, you can flash 3 at one time and suck
Killer.
3 in at one time, and it's satisfying.
feels so
they're like
good.
they're flying around in like chaos, and you have 3 connected to your vacuum, and you're just pulling them into oblivion, and you're loving every second of it. I like that one a
Yeah,
lot.
that's
Yeah.
fun.
It was good.
In Kirby and there's a boss
Sorry,
that does
Jake,
exactly
we're talking
that.
about Luigi's Mansion.
But in Kirby, there's a boss where you paint and then the paintings go out. It reminded me of that.
Cool.
Oh.
Which
Yeah.
Kirby?
All the Kirbys, because I think
They
it's
all
I-
have
I-
the same boss?
They have similar bosses.
Okay.
Crystal
but
shards,
I
I
think
think.
it's crystal
Shows you how
shards.
much I've played Kirby.
Yeah, but a lot of them have similar bosses. I think this one is crystal
It's
shards.
Crystal Shards, I think, for N64.
There may even be one in Kirby Superstar for Super Nintendo.
Probably.
But anyway, sorry, you were saying, Travis?
No. I think, we were just talking about which bosses we liked the most. I think I really liked, for some reason, I liked the one in there was that ice room for some reason.
The
Igloo one. I don't know
yeah.
why that one comes to mind. I think
It was different.
it was different, I think, than any of the other ones that came up.
So I can't remember. You're in a was it a fridge?
It was
or
like a
freezer?
fridge room of some kind and everything, and there was like falling icicles from the ceiling, and,
It's
and the
all
floor
ice.
was slippery. And I think that was
Yeah.
the first time the floor was slippery in the game, and I was like, "Oh, this is different." And so then,
I guess that was pretty.
yeah,
good.
and then I think you had to like melt him out of the ice block with the fire. So it was like different than what had happened previously in the game. So I was like, "Oh, finally!" Like, "Oh, this is a little different than just randomly trying to figure out like, oh, I got to make her wet the bed and like."
I got to get her bed all wet.
You guys who did not use the Game Boy Horror much must have had a very tough time finding the star. So one of the things that you need to do to complete the game is find 5 of Mario's missing items because he's a weakling and he leaves his stuff all over the place because he can't keep track of it all. And so you need to find his glove, his shoe, his hat,
I have a comment about this one.
his star, and some other item. And to find the star, you have to go into the observatory, pull out the Game Boy Horror, look at the telescope or that's looking out into space. Take a photo of it, and the whole room kind of like flips on its head, and there's this road to the star, and you're like, what the heck?
You're in space, essentially.
Rainbow
Yeah.
Road comes out minus the rainbow.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think I had any trouble with that one. I don't know, for some
You
reason I
guys
think that was
never
the
pulled
one
out
that
the cord.
no, I think that one just naturally came to me. I don't know why.
So I used the Game Boy Horror to see it, Mike, but like I didn't know what to do. But I like space. I'm a huge space like guy. I love space. So I was sitting there. I'm like, well, what is it you grab that you throw? Is it stars? So stars are falling. You suck one up with your vacuum, and I realized, hey, you can shoot one. I'm like, I wonder if I can shoot that planet.
Yeah.
Literally just not even caring about the game. I was over the game, kind of like in my head. I'm just like, I just want to see if I can shoot the planet. That'd be pretty funny. So I keep shooting. I miss. I'm like, okay, maybe you can't do it. Maybe it's gonna go through it. Just to play with the game. And sure enough, you grab a star, and I shot it at the Earth, I guess, and it exploded.
Literally blew up. Like that was probably
And
my
then I was
favorite
like,
thing.
literally in my head, I'm like, oh, that's part of the game. I was just messing around, and then sure enough, it makes that invisible bridge appear to go get the star, which is the fifth piece from Mario's parts. But yeah, literally, I discovered it I would have, if I did that long enough, and if I would have left the room, I guess, if it was even possible, I would have been so confused. Like, what do I do now? Like, but yeah, I discovered it organically, and it was very entertaining.
Yeah, I feel like that was pretty organic, that one, for some reason. I don't know why.
I feel like your problem is that you wanted to suck things up instead of hit A on everything.
Yes, that was exactly it. I ran into the room, and I was always holding the poltergeist suck button, right trigger. All the time, everything. I walk up to everything, and I would rattle it with the vacuum cleaner, and usually, like, money pops out.
The poltergeist.
The
poltergeist.
Maybe a heart pops out. If you're unlucky, a boo pops out.
Did drawers open up when you sucked them in like that? Okay, so for me, I think it's just a speed thing. I walked up, knocked, and opened instead of like
I would knock.
the second and a half you need to vacuum it for it to open. I was like, click, click, okay, move, click, click, okay, move, and like just jump.
See, the
in
nice
there.
thing about using the vacuum cleaner is if there's money and stuff in there, you automatically start sucking it up.
Was there a point to the money, or is that just
Yeah.
like every Nintendo game?
Well, there is at the very, very, very end. And the whole entire game, I'm like, why am I collecting all this money?
Exactly.
And then at the very, very end of the game, the whole thing is the money you use is to buy a new mansion. So however much money you get is to build a new mansion. And then you get a different ranking based on like how much money you collected. So you get a better mansion.
How much money did you collect?
69.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
Yes,
No,
wait.
69 million.
was this
69
post
million.
credits?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, as soon as I saw a name of a Japanese person, I just closed them. I'm done the game. I don't even look at credits, man. Post credits, I just don't care about.
There's always something after the credits.
Except for
Marvel movies taught you nothing.
Except for Pokemon games, I collect all the legendaries afterwards. But I don't know. I just felt like credits. Okay, game over.
So you don't know what your rank was?
No.
What was your rank, Travis?
C.
You got to see what was your rank?
No, how much money
Can
did
I
you
see
get?
it if I log back in?
It
No,
might be on your
because
save file.
don't they erase it and let you do a new game plus, and then they hit you with zero
Jacob,
again?
how much money did you get?
I was rank E. I think I
Same
was
here.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah, I was rank E. I think I was like maybe
I think I was-
40 in the 40s.
I had 45 million.
I wish
that
I
sounds
could
about where
check.
I was at too.
I was 1 million away from being rank B because I guess I looked online to see. I'm like, how well is this? And then it was like 70 million was like the
I wish I
Does
checked.
the
Tell us
size
about
of your
your
mansion change?
yeah. So it gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Okay, I was
so I
going to
looked
say,
it up.
you can't say the thing that Jacob and I got at rank E was a mansion.
It was like the first house in Animal Crossing where Tom Nook's
Oh,
like,
really? Oh my God.
you're gonna play all these bells for this
Oh my
little
God.
room. Same thing.
No,
but
yeah.
yours was big.
See, but that's the thing. Mine was a decent sized mansion. You know what I mean? I spent a lot of time just collecting money because I felt the money sucking up was very, very satisfying.
Yeah.
Like
It's
that was
cash.
that was the fun part for
Those
me.
notes.
Yeah. The bills,
when
yes.
The bills, when they were flying around, had like amazing physics.
Yeah.
And like all I wanted to do was collect them all. They felt like they were euros.
Yeah.
Like they looked to me like they were euros, and they felt so good to collect them.
I loved them too, guys. I'm making hand signs to like what is it, jazz hands?
Money, money, money,
Pretty much.
money.
And just because it was good. It was a good time vacuuming all the money.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Where were boss battles? Boss battles that were great. You know who my favorite ghost was? And it wasn't really a boss battle. It was that old man when the
Which
lights.
one?
So when the right,
They're all old.
when the power goes out, and
Yeah.
when they're like, there's this one ghost that you'll only be able to catch when the lights go out. He's a scamp because this whole time he's been hiding. He's really hard to catch, but maybe you'll find him in a room with a mirror, and that's
Uncle
the only
something,
thing.
Uncle Grim.
Uncle Grim or something like
Yeah,
that.
He's
like
the one
that.
in the closet.
His
room.
whole thing is like he's just gonna be where Amir's at because he's been hiding, and now you're gonna
That
be
was
able to
tricky.
find him.
Every room had a mirror. Like where did I need to go? I was just having trouble finding him.
I just looked online.
Same.
Yeah,
I eventually did.
so did I.
And even then, I'm like, what room? They're like, go to the closet. And I'm like, there's closets everywhere.
Exactly. One of the most frustrating things for me was navigating the map in your Game Boy Horror.
Mm-hmm.
None of the rooms, despite them having names every time you enter them, would show up on the map. And so I had to constantly look online when it was like, okay, I know I need to go to this room or this general area, but I can't look at this map and figure out how close or far I am. So I had to look online for like a detailed map that said, this is the mapping for each of these rooms, and this is what they're called.
For gaming, for navigation and the map in general. So I think I just missed something, but like the first floor when you walk into it, in order to get to like the second floor and the third floor, did you guys always have to walk outside?
Yes. It
All
was
the time.
annoying.
There's no way of getting around.
There was
right?
a door that was locked
Right?
that could have
Okay.
taken you through, and I never got a key for it. Was there a key?
That's what I'm going to ask. Did anyone get a key? Because
No.
till the end of the game, especially near the end when you had to go to the third
Back
and
and
fourth floor,
forth.
I had to walk outside through the gym and
That
like
was a real pain.
yeah. So that
Had
feel
I
like
knew I could teleport in the flipping mirrors, maybe I would have done that.
there
But
was
no, I
definitely
couldn't.
a way to do it because there was a locked door, and I feel like every door had to be unlocked eventually.
It's almost like
That's
they're
what
trying
I
to add
thought.
padding to the game.
Maybe.
No, it's a secret room that we
That's
just probably
the
didn't
one
get to.
spot that I would have said like, yeah, okay, they maybe make you walk too much throughout the house.
I don't think so.
But even then, I don't think so. Like, I got really good at the end of the game of like knowing where I needed to be.
Yeah.
And thinking like it's just gonna be much faster if I take a photo of myself in the mirror, teleport
I
to the
did that.
beginning. And
I did
walk
that.
to where
Yeah, no.
need
If I
to go.
finished something at the top, I took a photo. The nearest mirror I could
Exactly.
find, and I was like, I'm going back to the bottom.
Mhm.
That was
Yeah, no, I
annoying.
walked everywhere, every single time, and I had to keep going outside. And then I didn't realize that if I cleared all the ghosts outside, then it would clear the area because it
How
took me.
satisfying was that?
Well, that's the thing. Like, it took me forever to get before I realized that. Okay, if I clear all the ghosts here, then I don't have to be stopped every 5 seconds where I'm
Exactly.
being scared,
Wait.
right?
Yeah.
Wait. If you know the outside area, you can clear all of the
Wait,
ghosts.
what?
The backyard along the back
Yeah,
of the
you
house.
can
Yeah,
clear that?
if you
What?
Yes, I did
Sorry,
it.
what?
I did. Yeah, you can.
No.
So every single where it's kind of rainy and there's like the toad
I
in
know
the
well.
outhouse
No,
or
it
whatever.
leads
Yeah, with the
The
well.
well that you go down and
Yeah.
you dragons
Drop
and
ghosts,
stuff, and you
always
see
I
cars up.
I was like, I'm done with this. So I took my time and I cleared every single ghost that was in that room, and then it gave me a chest full of money. That's probably why I got
So,
$69 million.
This is Left Behind Game Club top tip. If you play Luigi's Mansion, which we recommend, I guess in general, and you
16 years too
you
late.
get to the outside backyard of the game, clear the ghosts
Yeah.
as soon as possible because you're gonna walk through that way too many times
Yep.
you can count, and it's gonna save you
So
so,
it
much
made,
time.
it made it so much faster just to
Wow.
clear the ghosts, and then I could just run through instead of
I
having.
just
It
ignored
made
all
it
the
nice
ghosts.
outside. It was like it was like sunny a little bit. Like there was not sunny, but like there was lights. It wasn't just this dark, stormy, rainy thing.
I did not
so.
play this game well.
Could you clear all of the ghosts out of all of the rooms?
See, I don't know. I don't know if whether or not the hallways did, because I feel like the hallways only cleared once the floor was clear.
Yeah, maybe.
But
I don't know
because
though.
I tried clearing the hallways to see if it would go away, and they wouldn't. I'm assuming you can clear most of the ghosts in every room.
I
There
mean,
was-
How many boos did you guys get by the end of the game?
All of them.
No, I got 40.
You were dedicated.
Probably exactly.
45. I got 45.
I got
For
40
some reason,
exactly.
a part of me thought I had to get them, so I got every single one.
No, I got exactly
Those
40.
boos get so annoying
Yes.
at the end with 300.
300
Yes.
was terrible, especially if there was sometimes where I'm assuming you guys went through it when they'd run away, but they'd go to a place you don't have access to yet,
Yes.
and you have
Yes.
to reset and start the game over and have them respawn with their full health.
I
It was
just-
never quite clear
never
to me
did
how
that.
you reset it. Like
I
a
just
lot of
left
the
the
time
game.
it was like, what if I just back out of this room and go into a different room? That didn't
No.
always do it. What if I went outside and came back in? There wasn't any consistent method that I could figure out to reset it.
I think the boo just stayed in the room that it stayed in until you unlocked it.
Yeah.
The one saving grace though was that the boo always stays at the amount of health that you left
Right.
it at. So
Yeah.
you can do permanent damage to them.
Unless you need to reset, and that's when I use that mirror trick. Because like sometimes I think it was the third of like the roof-ish one. He'd go into like a side room, and then it's like you can't get access to him. So I'd find a mirror, I'd respawn back, save it, and come back all the way upstairs. I did that a couple times to try to get this 300. Most of the 300 ones.
Yeah, and like it was really annoying when you had like one in a room, but then you to get to that room you had to go through like 3 other rooms, then a
Yeah.
hallway, and sometimes he would just jump the wall, and so I'm running back and forth, and I can only get off a few numbers off of his health. Like it was annoying because they just back and forth, back and forth. I spent way too much time trying to collect these boos, thinking I had to. Also, I was sucking at the game, so I thought, and they said, you know, the number of boos is the amount of power they had. I'm like, I'm gonna make this final boss as easy as possible by getting all these
Yeah.
boos, and it didn't help me at all. So
Yeah.
It seemed 40 seemed like a very arbitrary number. It's just like because I think I had 37 when I first got to the last door to the last boss, and I'm just like, oh great, I'm just gonna be able to go through this. It's gonna be fine. And then King Boo's like,
Nope.
3 of my friends are gonna keep you from this room. I'm like, why is the number 40? Why are there 50?
Yep.
Mo was because you guys were talking in our Discord.
I wanted to figure out how much time I had to play left.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you were like, how many boos do I actually need? And Mo's, what was your answer? There's an extra 15?
I asked him how many boos he needed left or whatever, and I mentioned he needed at least 40. I think he said he had 25. I'm like, well,
I had 20.
Yeah, you had
And
20.
said,
There's a
"You're gonna
bonus
get these
15."
Yeah, from that boss, the
Yeah.
boo boss. They
I didn't want
just
to say
give you
much, so I just
15.
said you're gonna get a bonus 15, and then you're like, I didn't get the bonus yet, so I'm like, okay, cool, it's ambiguous as
Mhm.
possible.
yeah,
It made me feel much better
Mhm.
because
Yes.
I didn't
Yeah.
want to collect them.
I know.
Yeah, same. I was upset when I saw the meter that said 0 out of 50. I'm like, I don't want to do this.
that
50
and that
times.
kind of made sense when you were saying that it felt like there was padding. I was like, I have to
That
go
was
through this
padding.
entire house and find every single boo in all of these rooms I've already been in.
Yeah.
That was kind of like, okay, that's a little unnecessary. And that my first thought was like, oh yeah, this is a bit unnecessary. But
Yeah.
I kind of like the things to do in the room after you finish the boss and cleaned it all of all
Yeah.
the ghosts. Like
It was satisfying.
Gave more things to do.
It's the jingle, the noise once you clear something,
Yeah.
and then it's a cleared room.
It's just interesting that
Good.
it's actually tied directly to the progression of the game. Like
Right.
usually these things are like, hey, find these
Bonus.
52 cards or find these heartstones or find these, I don't know, things. But this is actually tied to the progression. Just remember though, this is a launch game for the GameCube. This is probably a game that had to be slapped together, not slapped together. There's a lot of people that worked on it, but they had to put it together relatively quickly to get it out the door with the GameCube. And there were no patches back in the day. So like what you got on the disc, what you get. So I'm thinking that they put together like a 4-hour game and then said, hey, this is a launch game for the GameCube. It's going to define, the launch of the system. Let's hope the kids don't want to, trade it in or sell it the day they got it. So I just feel like there's a little bit of padding with some of the house layout, and then the booze, maybe a little bit of padding as well. My opinion.
The game didn't seem long to me, and it didn't seem like it was overstaying its welcome too much. At the end, I kind of just wanted to not be running up and down stairs
Right.
as much as I was. But it wasn't because it was boring or I felt like I was doing the same thing too much.
yeah, like I was entertained.
Yeah. I
You
think
know what
it was
it
also
reminded me
because
of?
I paced myself really well with this one.
It reminded me of Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham Asylum, because
Explain.
that game is a very contained environment where by the end you know exactly where that section's over here, this is over here. Where in this game it's everything looks very big. It's a relatively small environment, and by the end of the game you usually know hey, my fire is here, my water is in this room.
That's true, yeah.
Here's how I get to the top floors.
This is a door I can't use, or else I'll get smashed across. So there's a lot of false doors. If you clicked
Yeah.
on one that wasn't an actual door, Luigi gets slammed and it opens up really fast, and you get squished into a pancake.
And they take your coins.
Yeah, and eventually you learn, hey, don't open doors that are not doors because they will hurt you.
Use a quick Game Boy horror check to see if this is a real door or not.
What? That was a thing?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can. use
Oh
your
no,
Game Boy
I
horror
just
to look at the
learned
map.
which ones were not the doors.
Wow,
Why are
yeah.
you playing this on hard?
I know,
mode?
right?
Hand on the stove. Okay, not a door.
Controls. How'd you guys find the controls?
Oh, don't get me started.
Yeah,
Or I'll get started.
They're tricky at first, but you get over it. You figure it out because you have no way of changing. So
I don't think I ever got over it.
yeah.
Yeah, I was always a little disappointed with the controls.
I don't think I ever pointed the C stick in the right
Yeah.
direction. I always went down instead
Yeah.
of up. Even by the end of the
Because
game.
it shouldn't have been inverted.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't get it.
Or there should be more control options than just
Yeah.
regular and sidestep,
Sidestep.
and all that changes is your left control stick.
Yeah, but
That's it.
that also plays to what you said earlier. It could have been, hey, let's just get this through the door. It could have
Yeah.
been that. And the thing is, with the inverted controls, so we see it in every game. There's obviously people that play it only in inverted controls, and they say, look at these monstrous people playing in normal controls, aka us, which
Mhm.
is weird because they wouldn't be doing it unless I guess someone is there playing it regularly.
Yeah.
Remember, they're trying to push units.
Yeah, there are people out there with wrong opinions about a lot of things.
It just made the last boss battle versus
Tricky.
Bowser very difficult,
Right.
more so than it needed to be.
Yeah, because you had to grab the bombs and
Yeah,
you
and
to
I
have-
had no idea because I was sitting there sucking it and it wasn't doing anything.
and then you had to point it at Bowser with your controls that were a little
Right.
wacky, and then you'd miss unless you.
Oh yeah.
Try to
Depth
cut
perception. There was an issue with depth perception
Yeah.
for me. I just every time, especially with the planet, because you mentioned like when you go in the observatory and you have to shoot the planet, I found I was always like to the right of the planet, and the same thing went here for Bowser, where whenever I was shooting those little orbs, those bombs at him, I was always either like just slightly to the right or slightly to the left.
It was the same thing with every boss battle, because even that inky one in the backyard, that there was that you had to suck up the ink and then shoot the ball at the thing. I missed forever, and all I did was just run around in circles until I could finally aim it or be close enough that I could get it right.
Yeah,
But
you know, it's almost like it was a side-scrolling like Mario game, but like it had like depth, so you can walk
Some amount of
forward.
depth, yeah.
Yeah, it had, you can go through like farther away from the screen, closer to the screen, but you're essentially the camera angle is always looking at the side view of the mansion.
I think that's where the controls get wonky, because the camera, as much as it's on a track and slides along the room with you, it also, depending on how far in you go, sometimes moves up. And because it moves up, it creates issues figuring out how, like, where exactly you're pointing it. If it was only moving side to side and not up and down, at
maybe.
all, then it would be
Yeah.
much easier to figure it out. At least that is my armchair game designer.
Yeah, I thought very much. I know it's a bad comparison, but the original Resident Evil games, when you're in a mansion, and I know it's different because sometimes the camera will just snap to a new position, but the
Which killed me.
isometric design of the camera, I think that's the right word.
Yes,
That reminded me of Resident Evil a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not 4,
Especially because it was
0 to 3.
horror-esque game.
Exactly.
I think bad cameras are an important part of horror games because they increase the tension, because you're fighting with the controls as much as you're fighting.
yeah,
the
you have
enemies on
zero
screen.
control.
Yeah.
That makes
Mhm.
sense.
If the controls were too smooth, then you wouldn't have that sense of suspense and
Right.
can I make it through this?
You guys had a pretty easy time with the game in general, but did you have any bosses that you found were hard besides the final boss? Because I have one come straight to mind.
What?
The fat guy that eats food.
Yeah.
Because you had limited space to work with. You're in like a giant like mess hall, I guess. And there's
Yeah.
a giant dining room table, a big gigantic ghost in the middle eating food, and he has servants that keep feeding him. And like obviously, you know, what I figured out is you prevent him from getting food. He gets angry, you start fighting him, but you also have to deal with his little minions. And he threw plates at you, I believe. That was his thing.
Yeah, or fireballs and
Yeah,
stuff too.
something. Yeah, and then the thing is with that guy, I just because there's such limited space to maneuver, I think I died a couple times with him. And that was the one that kind of killed him. Did you guys have a similar?
That was one of the bosses that I died like.
Okay,
in
good.
The,
I'm
in
not
the
crazy.
4 times in the beginning.
Yeah.
I thought the toughest thing about that boss was figuring out how to activate the boss battle.
Oh yeah,
Suck
his
taking
food.
his minions and then cleaning up his plate so that way he gets angry.
yeah. There's just no space. The table took up the majority of the room you're in, and because of that view that you were just talking about, that's another thing that cued it. Like, it was tricky. I couldn't move.
I think the hardest one, I think, out of all the like the mini bosses was there was an old lady knitting.
Yeah,
And there was 3 like
and they hit you.
Balls
Yeah.
of yarn.
balls of yarn, and you had to go around, suck up the balls of yarn, and hit her 3 times in a row, or
Yeah.
you could, and like I would miss constantly,
And she would laugh at you.
and she would laugh, and then it'd reset. So then I reset so many times because
Yeah.
I couldn't aim and hit her with the balls of yarn, and then finally I got it, and then thank goodness that like once I hit her 3 times, she just if I didn't like get her into the vacuum all the way,
you
she
were
would
still able to.
reset, but I didn't have to like
Yeah.
throw the balls of yarn again. Because that was, I think, my main problem too was I couldn't get them into the vacuum in one shot. I never got them into the vacuum in one shot. Like it was always like halfway and then I'd hit a mushroom, or halfway, and it was just so frantic. And maybe that was part of the game, was that, you know, it's supposed to be frantic and I'm, you know, sucking them up, but I don't think I ever really got good at sucking up the ghosts.
It's tricky.
Yeah.
It's always like tricky.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming to appreciate the environment, the ambiance, like the spookiness a little more after we're talking about it. That's one thing that playing the game, you know, I played it in 2 sittings. I guess I didn't come to appreciate it as much as I did, how much care was given to the actual environment itself. Because, you know, we had issues with the controls. We may have had issues with the camera. Some of the graphical stuff, like Luigi's face would just tear sometimes.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate, like, even some of the horror game tropes, because I'm thinking about it now. The lady in the shower. That is like a very horror game, like,
Yeah.
oh, this lady's in the shower and she's going to get
Psycho.
murdered. Except for me, I thought of Home Alone 2 when you're in the hotel.
I go Hitchcock, you go Home Alone 2.
I go Columbus. But yeah, that was my, you know, when he has the inflatable thing and the,
Yeah.
we won't go there, but I went Home Alone 2.
That's funny. You know what? Thinking about it, I think my favorite part of this game was the song that played throughout the entire game. Like I hummed that like the entire time. Like because I played this over the course of like a week. So every single time I'm like doing chores at home or something, and I'm humming that because I liked that it went from creepy, and then once the space was cleared, then Luigi's like humming it, or he's whistling it if he's like, no, he's humming it if he's scared, and he's whistling it if it's an okay area.
Yeah, exactly.
And like I can't whistle, so I'm literally walking around going like I can't do it right now, but like I think that song was in my head for like weeks on end, and I think watching you again last night, it just got stuck in my head all over again.
That music reminded me of Gruntilda's theme in Banjo-Kazooie.
Yep.
I don't know. Same for you?
Yep. Now
Okay.
that you say it, yes.
It was especially because in Banjo-Kazooie, when Gruntilda talks, it's that same and it was just it brought me right back, and I was like, whoa, did we get sound design from the N64 for this game? Like, is that what's carrying over onto this next gen?
This would have been right as Rare was being purchased by Microsoft, right? Because Rare was a Nintendo company through the 64, and then they made Grab by the Ghoulies when the Xbox came
You're
out,
right.
and I think that's kind of when it happened. So maybe this is their way of like, maybe a Rare person helped out on the game. Maybe this is just their way of being like, bye Rare, hope you like that Microsoft stuff.
Yeah, they probably we have these haunted sound bites in the vault. What can we use these for? We'll use it for our Mario Brothers horror game.
Did anyone play the 3DS game that came out, the sequel?
Didn't.
No.
I thought the 3DS game was a remake of this, and it's only when we started playing this that I realized it was a sequel. Because I was thinking, like, why was there not a sequel to this? I enjoyed my time with it.
It's deceiving in our territory in North America because it's named Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, but in every other territory, it's Luigi's Mansion 2.
Oh, wow.
That would have made things much clearer.
Yeah, I had no idea why they decided to do that for North
Did Mario
America.
get caught again in the second one?
I have no idea because
Let's
that
be
one
honest. We
He
know
probably
the
did.
Luigi's
He probably got
brother.
caught.
What other storyline could it have been?
but that one I think is made by Next Level Games, who made the Super Mario Strikers games, whereas this is like internal Nintendo that made this one, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Saw Miyamoto's name on it.
He did. Yep, he did that. Anything else you guys want to kind of jam on for this one?
I don't know. I just want to say it's a good game. Like it
It's a
held
good game
up
for
Yeah.
16 years ago.
Yeah.
And like I enjoyed playing it like the entire time, and it's really old, and it was like, all right, this is cool.
Launch titles are usually not this good. Launch titles are usually rushed out the door.
And
They have shorter development cycles because the hardware is only locked down later and closer to the date. And so, yeah, this game was probably shorter. They probably added a bit of padding, but I think the core gameplay loop, the 30 seconds, 60 seconds of gameplay was pretty good.
anyone here not like it at all, or like think it's a bad game?
I don't think it's a bad game. I don't think I'd ever play it again. Like,
Same.
Yeah, no.
yeah,
I
no, and
wouldn't
like
either, but
even at the end of the game, I was like, okay, I'm glad I'm done. But I was entertained throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
I don't think I thought it was a bad game. I think the controls frustrated me a ton, but at the same time, in general, I think I enjoyed the game for the most part. I wouldn't want to play it again. Even after seeing like, oh, what kind of house would I get if I got more money? I don't think I'd ever care. I was content with the size of my house.
If they made a sequel for the Switch, I would definitely play it.
I think
That's where I leave myself in terms of my opinion on the first Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, I don't want to say like I adored it. It's a 16-year-old game,
Yeah.
and to have it hold up as well as it did, okay, I'm sure at the time graphically it would have been incredible for me to be like, oh my god, look at this game. Like I did watch my brother play it. I never played it. I don't know. I want to play Luigi's Mansion 2 or Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, depending on the territory. I want to play it on 3DS. I really do now. Yeah, but I can't go to someone who's into old games and be like, hey, drop everything you're doing. This Luigi's Mansion, it's
Fair.
something.
Yeah.
I know it's a really unfair thing because it's a 16-year-old game that was
Yep.
made for a launch title for the GameCube, but it's aight. It's fine.
Yeah.
It controls okay. It looks pretty good. The story's there. The core loop is what gets you though. Is that flash and vacuum? That's it.
I think that is where we leave off for today. Mr. McCourt, where can people find you at?
They can find me on the internet.
Where on the internet?
at jacobmccourt.com, at jacobmccourt on everything. Or if you want to watch me play our next game, which we're going to talk about in a second.
Or if you want to go back and watch the VODs of him playing this game.
At one point, I dab for the audience during the credits. I'm just like, I go dab crazy. You can do that at jacobstreams.com.
Mr. Travis Colenutt, where can people find you?
At Travis Colenutt on pretty much everything.
shocked.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
so
believe it.
easy. I'm the only one.
That's awesome. Mr. Murtadi, the man himself, where can people find you?
Surprise. You can find me at Murtadi across the board, everywhere.
Across the board. And you can find me at RuffoloM on Twitter and at MichaelRuffolo.com on the web. And that, my friends, is one last game left behind. If you enjoyed the show and want more, make sure to check us out on iTunes, give a review, tell a friend about it, play some of the games, reach out on Twitter, let us know. Each 5-star review that we get gets a special shout out on air. Mr. Mo, who's getting a shout out today?
Today we got a shout out from Stitcher listener. That's one of the mediums that we are published on. So we're on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Thomas R., thank you so much for the review and the 5-star rating. You are featured Left Behind Game Club Raider Reviewer.
Fantastic. And that, my friends, is one last game left behind.